The affordability challenge in all of California, and to bring it home right here into Sonoma County, is tremendous. The lots in a subdivision like here in Coffey Park are going for between $100,000 and $150,000. The permit fees alone on building a house in this area are almost as much as building the whole house in Texas. If we're going to get it done here, we have to reinvent, we have to be creative.
High real estate prices and low wages relative to the cost of living made it difficult for many families to afford a house before the fires. The natural disaster, which destroyed over 5,000 Sonoma County homes, has exacerbated the tight housing market. There is concern that families will permanently leave the area if housing needs aren't met quickly.
The families that were impacted in the fires tend to be the backbone of the workforce of Sonoma County, and we have to do whatever we can do to help those workers and contributors to Sonoma County stay living in Sonoma County.
Habitat for Humanity plans to construct cottages as part of its fire rebuild plan.
Habitat is an organization that was founded by President Jimmy Carter and his wife over 30 years ago with a passion to create affordable housing to low-income families.
On traditional habitat projects, volunteers work alongside a low-income family to build a home the family would otherwise be unable to afford.
It's got that kind of barn-raising aspect to it. It just really brings the community together like nothing else that I've ever experienced.
Following Hurricane Katrina, Habitat created a special program to assist with the Gulf Coast recovery. As part of the program, Habitat built temporary housing units called Katrina Cottages for hurricane survivors. The cottage concept is now being adapted to assist North Bay fire survivors.
I'm very excited about our Sonoma Cottages initiative because the cottages can be constructed in a much shorter time frame. Our goal is to have 5 or 6 cottages completely built and ready to occupy by June 30th. In this calendar year, we would be targeting 10 to 20.
Habitat plans to build cottages between 600 and 750 square feet. The organization is looking for a plot of land where the cottages could house fire survivors for up to 2 years. After that time, the cottages could be moved to a permanent location to become granny units, or ADUs, accessory dwelling units on housing lots.
Temporary housing now, adding to the affordable rental stock of Sonoma County permanently, long-term.
For those with bigger lots, a cottage may even be able to house a family on their own property while the principal house is being built in another part of the property. However, for smaller lots, ADUs may not easily fit in the backyard.
In areas like Coffey Park, where the lots are much smaller, we're having to get that much more creative. Perhaps we design a garage to be structurally strong enough to carry a second story. That would then be engineered to have one of these cottages craned right on top of the garage from a temporary location when the garage and the primary house is being built.
Habitat is reviewing prefab designs to facilitate a fast, efficient, and cost-effective construction process that meets the needs of fire survivors.
Napa County has identified anywhere between 500 and 2,000 homes that it immediately needs. Sonoma County has identified 19,000. So between these two adjacent counties, there's a need for 20,000 homes urgently, not to mention consistently after that.
Significant labor shortages in the construction sector are compounding the problem of an already tight housing market.
This is the greatest labor shortage I've ever seen. It was bad before the fires, and now it's worse.
Constructing building components off-site can reduce the number of skilled laborers needed on-site. This approach could be particularly conducive to habitat projects.
Rapid construction technologies that meet current building codes and current energy codes and so on is part of the way to solve these problems.
Habitat has chosen 4 companies to build different structures based on a common Sonoma cottage design. Each firm will employ its own unique building techniques during construction to demonstrate the efficacy of each approach.
I think the concept for the cottage program is to create a model and a prototype experiment that will allow all of the developers to demonstrate the benefits of their system. And those that have the most benefits will be duplicated in larger form and in more neighborhoods.
The Sonoma Cottage builders will follow designs created by University of Notre Dame's School of Architecture professor Marianne Cusado. The architect worked with Cypress Cottage Partners to develop Katrina cottages following the Gulf Coast hurricane. The housing plan was part of a $400 million U.S. government-funded program to replace FEMA trailers in affected areas. The Katrina cottages were designed to blend with local architectural styles in Mississippi and Louisiana. The Sonoma cottages are likewise being designed to fit in with architectural styles native to Sonoma County. The Katrina cottage concept was inspired by temporary housing created after a previous Bay Area natural disaster. Following the 1906 earthquake and fire in San Francisco, thousands of earthquake shacks were constructed to house survivors. These shacks were built to be durable and transportable. Over 100 years after being built, several of these earthquake shacks are still standing in San Francisco. The current value of some of these shacks exceeds $1 million in the city's costly real estate market. Habitat is accelerating its Sonoma County building plan to construct 600 homes in the next 5 to 8 years. But providing immediate housing for fire survivors remains a priority.
We have a growing list of families that have raised their hand and have said that they are living in substandard situations. They are in a trailer, they're couch surfing with friends or relatives somewhere, especially if there's kids. It's just not a good situation.
If these families leave the community, it could have a significant impact on the local economy, as well as the vitality and diversity of the area for years to come.
Our highest goal here is, yes, to help families in need, absolutely, but our broadest macro goal is to try to keep the backbone of Sonoma County workers in place and not have them leave the county as a result of this disaster.